Time for us to go behind the headlines. And this morning, my local newspaper, the Oregonian here in Portland, reported a story of a 48-year-old man who stabbed a 16-year-old. And what had happened is the teenager had jumped the middle-aged man's fence and was trying to steal some of his pot plants. Now, the middle-aged man is facing charges of attempted murder, assault, felon in possession of a firearm, and unlawful manufacture of marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school. Which, by the way, 1,000 feet of a school means in a city, pretty much. Anywhere you live in any major American city, you're probably within 1,000 feet of something that's considered a school. Regardless, according to the report, the police report, the man found the teenager in his backyard attempting to steal plants. And so they got in a fight, they struggled, and the man stabbed the teen multiple times in the chest and back. The neighbors then reported it because they saw a bloody teenager stagger out from this guy's lawn and then collapse in the street. And this is this morning, just this morning in Portland. So they call 911, and the cops arrive, and as soon as the cops arrive, the man who stabbed the kid barricades himself in the home for hours. And of course, the cops, they bring out the SWAT teams, they surround the house, they shut down the streets, they scare the hell out of everybody in the neighborhood, they lock down the schools if they're nearby. You know, big hassle for everyone involved. This guy locks himself down, barricades himself against the cops for a few hours before he finally surrenders. The teenager, of course, is at the Oregon Health Sciences University Hospital right now and is recovering. He's expected to live. Now, what disturbs me about this story is the man is a registered medical marijuana patient, and according to the story, reportedly had, quote, more than 320 mature marijuana plants and nearly 170 immature ones, end quote. Now, our medical marijuana law here in the state of Oregon is pretty generous for patients, but it's not that generous. You're legally entitled to grow 6 mature plants, not 320, and 18 immature plants, not 170. This guy's way over his limits, right? But that's not the part that bugs me. I mean, it bugs me a little bit when I see people grossly, abusing the medical marijuana law, obviously for commercial purposes. I mean, there's no way 320 mature plants for this guy was for personal use, right? So that bugs me a little bit because it just makes it that much harder for the next state that wants to try to pass medical marijuana when they look west and they say, oh, yeah, sure, it's medical. Here's a guy, covering up his pot grow or whatever, right? But that's not the part that bugs me the most because, I mean, criminals are criminals. They're going to do criminal things, right? They're going to break laws. They're going to find loopholes. They're going to do that kind of stuff. Can't really prevent that. And really, why should we work so hard to prevent that? Because, I mean, the guy probably would have been growing illegally anyway. And why should patients suffer just because of this guy? No, that's not the part that bugs me the most. The part that bugs me the most is the greed. The greed involved here. Over 300 mature plants, and this guy just had to stab the teenager. Was he worried the kid was going to steal all the plants? I mean, how much can this kid carry anyway? 320 mature plants, he's not going to quickly and easily get away with them all. Sure, the kid might have cut down a few stalks, might have grabbed 6, maybe a dozen of the plants. You got 320 of them, dude. Jeez, how much weed do you need? Folks, no pot plant is ever worth another human being's life. This goes for not just the actions you take after someone or during someone is ripping off your plants, but it also has to do with what protections you might do for your garden. Yes, put a fence around it. Yes, get some cameras and motion-sensitive lights and all that kind of stuff, but not booby traps. I mean, if you shoot or stab a ripper or you build a booby trap to hurt a ripper, the only good that's going to do is get you some more serious charges added to your trial if you're ever caught. Or worse. Worse, the booby trap could kill you. I did a story just a couple of weeks ago on a New York man who decapitated himself because he was tooling around on his ATV and forgot about the piano wire that he strung up across the road and damn near took his head off. Of course, we all have to remember the long view on this, and that is the ultimate culprit here is marijuana prohibition itself. Under legalization, this man's pot growing business wouldn't be hidden in a residential neighborhood. It wouldn't be defended by the owner, full of greed and paranoia and trying to protect himself with guns and knives. He'd be licensed. He'd be zoned. He'd be in a place where he can conduct his business legally. And if there are any disputes, if there are any problems, he can solve that in a court of law with lawyers. We can call the cops if there's a problem. If someone's trying to rip it off, we can call the cops. And the invitation for the theft itself wouldn't be so inviting, right? The pot wouldn't be so potentially lucrative that it would invite teenagers to come jump the fence and try to rip it off. I mean, I haven't read any stories lately about a man stabbing a kid who's trying to steal his cases of home-brewed beer. And if anyone was sneaking in, if the kids do sneak into the legal marijuana field, you don't have to defend it with guns and knives. You can call the cops. So prohibition is the ultimate culprit in this story that has led one man to now facing charges that'll probably put him away for the rest of his life. He's 48 now, right? And led to another young man, a kid, a teenager, getting stabbed and risking his life over weed. No weed is worth a human life. Don't booby trap your crops. Don't use force to try to take on a ripper, prevent a rip-off. You're better off losing an entire garden than having to go through the legal system, or worse, live with the guilt of killing someone. All right, folks, so protect your plants. You know, get yourself some video security, get yourself some fencing, have someone on site at all times. And most of all, work hard to make it legal.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China